What if this isn't just another video, but the moment God knew you'd finally be ready to hear this? There are seasons where it feels like heaven is silent, like your prayers hit the ceiling, like your tears fall unnoticed, like you've been forgotten. I know that feeling. I've walked through seasons where I truly wondered if God had stepped away, where I felt abandoned in my grief, confused in my waiting, and exhausted from asking why. But what if the silence wasn't rejection? What if it was preparation? Today, I want to show you the signs that God often waits to speak clearly until your heart is ready to receive it, and why this hard season might actually mean something is shifting inside you. Let's dive in. 1. The silence isn't rejection, it's preparation. One of the hardest lessons I've learned is this: God does his deepest work in hidden seasons, not when everyone sees you thriving, not when the breakthrough finally comes, but in the quiet, in the unseen. Think about Book of Joseph. The pit came before the palace. Or Book of David, the shepherd field came before the throne. Before elevation, there was isolation. Looking back at my own life, I can see it clearly now. The seasons I thought were abandonment were actually construction zones. God was strengthening muscles I didn't even know I would need. The silence wasn't him leaving, it was him building. Pain has a way of exposing what we're really leaning on. In one of my hardest seasons, I realized something uncomfortable. I wasn't just waiting on God. I was trying to control the outcome. Waiting stripped that away. It removed pride. It removed illusion. It removed my timeline. I used to pray for answers. Now I pray for alignment. I used to want escape. Now I ask for endurance. And here's what I discovered: struggle doesn't just test your faith, it refines it. When you've cried enough tears, fought enough battles, and surrendered enough expectations, your heart becomes softer, more aware, more receptive, more sensitive to his voice. Let me ask you something. Have you ever cried out to God and felt like nothing came back? If that's you, type waiting in the comments. Not because it fixes everything, but because you need to know you're not alone in this. There are subtle shifts that happen before clarity comes. You stop asking, why me? And you start asking, what are you teaching me? You don't need immediate relief to trust him. You begin to care more about who you're becoming than when it will end. For me, one of the biggest signs was this: the panic started fading. Even though my situation hadn't changed, I felt steady. There was peace before the answer. That's when I knew something inside me had shifted. Sometimes God waits to speak clearly because we finally have the capacity to hear him without fear, resistance, or self-sabotage. This part changed everything for me. If God had answered some of my prayers when I first begged him to, I would have mishandled the blessing. If certain doors had opened before I healed, I would have carried insecurity into the opportunity. If the breakthrough had come too soon, my character wouldn't have matched it. Sometimes the delay isn't denial, it's protection. Timing builds capacity, and capacity sustains calling. So let me say this gently. You're not late. You're not forgotten. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. And maybe this video didn't randomly appear on your screen. Maybe you're softer now. Maybe you're listening differently now. Maybe you're finally ready. The silence you've been afraid of might actually be the space where God has been shaping you all along. If this spoke to you right where you are, press like, not for the algorithm, but as a quiet, I receive this. And if you're still in that waiting season, I made another video about trusting God's timing when nothing makes sense. Watch that next. It will walk you through what to do when heaven feels silent. I'll meet you there.